Earlier this week, I put a call out on social media to figure out what the home distilling community's absolute favorite spirit essences are. So today, I'm going to be tasting through the top 10. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Distillers, and today I am tasting through a list of the top 10 recommended spirit essences according to the home distilling community. But first, let's have a quick talk about what these things really are. A spirit essence is going to look something like this, or like this, and the idea is that it gives you the ability to make one batch of vodka or neutral, whatever you want to call it, and then add essences to it to make different spirits. You distill the vodka out, you add the bottle in, and you end up with tequila. Let's talk about the pros and cons of this, shall we? Let's be positive first and talk about the pros. The idea that you can make one batch of spirits and then have a whole range of different things from that it's pretty attractive, I've got to say, especially if you're into something like cocktails and you need a giant range of different products to mix together to make the cocktails you're after. I get that, that's pretty cool. Another part of this that is very attractive for home distillers is to be able to make products like tequila, where the base ingredients that you really need to make those things properly are just damn hard to get. Once again, blue agave, New Zealand. And lastly, the third reason, and honestly this is a little bit against the spirit of this channel, is that it is just easy. It's easy to make stuff, to flavor it up quickly and smash it. It's not really what this channel's about. If that's what you're into, that's fine. By all means, obviously, please watch this channel. Just realize that the rest of this video is going to be aimed more at people that are trying to get a good result rather than just trying to get drunk for cheap. That's not what we're about. So let's have a look at the downsides of this. And really, in my mind, there's only two. The first one is that I can't bring myself to believe that you're ever really going to make something that is as good as the quote-unquote real thing by mixing vodka with one of these bottles. And the second downfall, I think, for these things is that potentially, sometimes, having an easy way out can make us lazy, and that means that we don't live up to our potential of what we could make. Let's just say it that way. Anyway, enough of this. Let's get into tasting, shall we? First up, dry vermouth. By the way, these are going in ascending order. The longer we go into the video, the more popular they were. Anyway, so this is fitting to me because this, like I said, is in my mind one of the best use cases or the best arguments for essences is to have things that fill out a cocktail bar, right? And vermouth, especially dry vermouth, for me is an absolute necessity because dry martinis. So, I don't know anyone that just drinks dry vermouth straight. I mean, I guess maybe they're out there, but for me, this is just a vessel in addition to a martini. It's not horrible. It reminds me of vermouth. It isn't vermouth. It doesn't taste exactly like vermouth, but it's not bad. It has the spice profile pretty close, actually. The thing that really sticks out to me is that it's kind of cordially, like old school New Zealand cordial. What is going to be interesting is how this would pair with gin in a martini. I think that's where the value of this is going to shine or fail. If only we had some gin. I will save this for later in the list. And please, team, remember, this is all personal preference. Don't go yucking someone else's yum. If you like it, that's fine. You don't need me to say that it's really good or someone else to say that it's really good for you to be able to enjoy it. So if we or you and someone else in the comments disagree on what you prefer, that's fine. That means that we've got a vibrant community that's communicating and sharing opinions. It's a good thing. Don't get pissy with each other over that, okay? Baileys, or sorry, Irish cream. I would have been surprised if this didn't end up on the list. I hear it talked about a bunch, and it's actually fairly pleasant, especially compared to the actual Baileys. It's not bad. Two things that I wouldn't say ruin it for me, they just kind of drag it down a little bit for me. One is the over butterscotchy sweetness, which is probably more of a personal preference. I'd rather it to be more whiskey-like and less just candy-like, if that makes sense. And I know from making my own Baileys, I'll put a link in the description down below for that, that adding some of that kind of like almondy, amaretto-y essence in can definitely boost the flavor up, but the almondiness in this is kind of, it just lingers a little bit too long and it's a little bit too stale, I guess is the word. It's almost like cardboardy. With something this, I feel like you could make it yourself, although obviously, you know, you'd have to have whiskey to do that. So, you know what, maybe I'll take that back. Anyway, it's not bad. All right, let's find a different angle for this part of the video. I'm guessing that you can see down here that there's a little bit of organization and things changing going on. I can't tell you what's going on down there yet, but I will be able to soon. What I can tell you is the sponsor of today's video is helping to fund that project, which of course I'll tell you about in due course. Anyway, the sponsor of today's video is Into the AM. Thank you for sponsoring this video, Into the AM. If you don't know, Into the AM make a whole range of really cool clothing products that honestly, it's pretty much all I wear these days because they are freaking awesome. I am hiding in my cold ass shed in my Into the AM hoodie right now down here in New Zealand, but up there in the Northern Hemisphere, I know you're going into summer. So Into the AM have a summer sale. How convenient, right? If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you can of course just stock up for next summer. Oh, and using that code in the description down below is actually going to give you an extra 10% off, which means it is 30 to 60% off. That's pretty cool. Anyway, back to the list. Jamaican Dark Rum. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, there was a bunch of different rums suggested to me actually, and I kind of amalgamated them all into this one. This was the most suggested, but I feel like I've done rum a little bit dirty here. So, if you're interested, I'm happy to go through and do a tasting of a bunch of different rum extracts, and I'd be able to put more time into that and be able to get different brands from different places and stuff. I did that with whiskey a while ago. I think it was bourbon actually. There'll be a link down below. Because I've already done it, I decided to take bourbon out of this list. Once again, maybe that was a little unfair. Anyway, the rum. And I'm actually kind of surprised by this. The bourbons just never, I don't know, man. It just didn't even really strike me as an aged spirit. And that could be because I know bourbon and whiskey a lot more than I know rum. That could be part of it, but I'm not mad at that. There's parts of it that just don't add up to me. So for starters, they call it a Jamaican rum, but it's real heavy on the molasses and really light on the esters in a lot of ways. The molassesy flavors aren't horrible, actually, but then the wood oak flavors once again just don't quite stack up, like I found with the whiskey, and the vanilla's just off. It's too much just like vanilla essence, which is subtly but solidly different from the vanilla that I get from barrels. There's also something sitting in behind all of it that it's kind of similar to rum flavors, but it's just not quite sitting right with me. It's paraffin wax would be the best way that I could describe it actually. So would I drink it straight like this? No, honestly, it's not enjoyable to me like that, but it's not horrible. And if you mix it with rum or whatever else you like to mix rum with, that'll do the trick, I guess. Gin. And once again, I've taken a slight amount of poetic license in terms of what was actually voted for, because what was specifically voted for was the Still Spirits elderflower gin. That's what people voted the most. There was other gins in the mix, of course. Anyway, I almost left this off the list because I've already done a whole episode on messing around with gin essences. Once again, link down below. But I decided to keep it on because I wanted to try the dirty martini, and it just seemed right to do both at the same time. Wow. Okay. I'm going to give you my overall impression of this first and then go back and pull it apart a little bit. If this came in a can, like a RTD can, where you could pop it and drink it, I'd be pumped with it. If I was served this at a nice bar when I ordered a martini, I'd be pissed. That's kind of the range of where it sits. So I guess what I'm getting at is that there's a whole bunch of really, really accurate to a gin, accurate to the vermouth flavors in there. But there's just these kind of, I don't know, like weird extra things that make it taste, I hate to use the word artificial, but artificial. Like that weird cordial note is still coming through. It's not horrible. It's not completely ruining the experience. Like I would actually drink this, like I said. Essences potentially play a role in terms of being able to identify the flavors you like, identify the flavors you want to chase, be able to play around in a really easy way. You know, like, do I like licorice in gin? It's tip, swirl, taste. That's not bad, as opposed to having to, you know, craft an entire gin and distill it. I think there's a place for that stuff. I need to jump in real quick here and say a huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you so much, Patreons. You're the people that let me do this. I mean, especially videos like this. I just randomly went down to the homebrew store and dropped like $200 to buy a bunch of stuff to taste that I'm probably never going to actually drink. But it's a fun episode, and that's doable because of you guys. So thank you so much, guys. A quick note to say, I know that there is a bunch of you that have, let's call them moral objections to Patreon itself. I get that, I understand it. It's the only game in town really for me. But if you'd like to contribute to the channel and you don't want to use Patreon for whatever reason, I'm not going to ask questions. I'm not going to judge you for it. What you can do is use the memberships right here on YouTube. There'll be a button under the video, or down in the description. There's a link in the description as well. Next on the list is butterscotch schnapps. And I have to say right from the beginning that this is not the kind of spirit that is my preference. Nothing to do with this essence, nothing to do with essences. I just mean, I'm not overly into this kind of thing. Just to let you know. I'll try to not let that color my commentary on it. On the flip side of that, I have to admit that this is exactly the kind of essence that makes sense, in my mind, in terms of it being pretty good compared to what else is out there. I mean, the difference between how this is made and how a real, quote-unquote, real butterscotch schnapps is made is a lot closer in my mind compared to something like, you know, a whiskey that is supposed to age in a barrel for many years. It's just a lot closer. And it actually tastes pretty decent. I'm not really sure how or why you would drink this. I'm not trying to be insulting, I'm just being straight up. I'm admitting that I don't quite understand it. I guess you'd have it like, almost like dessert, or on top of ice cream. Actually, that's what the little picture says. I could totally understand that. I don't know. If you're into this kind of thing, let me know down below. But honestly, there's nothing particularly wrong with it. The butterscotch profile is quite nice. It reminds me of Werther's Original. There you go. Black Sambuca. I'm not at all surprised that Sambuca showed up on the list. I'll be real with you. I thought I bought white Sambuca. I don't know how I mixed that up. And I got the black Sambuca. Anyway, yep, that's anise. Lots and lots of anise. Once again, this is a spirit that I know, like, not a lot about at all. I don't know the difference between a good anise spirit and a bad anise spirit. I don't know if I've ever had anything other than Galliano, and that was a long time ago in some weird ass shots that probably made me throw up at a bar when I was basically a kid. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It looks kind of cool, it's purple. It tastes kind of like anise. It has a bit of a astringent aftertaste actually, which is surprising to me in something like this. I'm surprised that it made it this far up the list, although I can kind of understand the fact that if you're into this kind of thing, you'd be really, really into it. It seems like the sort of spirit that would either make people love it or hate it. Not this specifically, I just mean the category in general. Tell me in the comments section down below if you've made basically a Sambuca style spirit and a anise style spirit. How hard was it to get it dialed in, and is it worth making? Or is it just kind of meh? I don't know. Anyway, moving along. Tequila. This is another one that I had a bunch of advice for specific tequila essences that I couldn't get my hands on. Some of them were Edwards, and there was another brand. Shit. I'm sorry. I wrote it down. It's in my notes. I've got it there for next time. The plan is that I want to do a tequila video to try a bunch of different essences. So I bought the essences I could get from the store I had, and I'm going to get your recommendations. Feel free to put them in the comments down below. And I'll get a bunch. If we need to do like 8 or 10 of these, I'm happy to do it. Give them a nudge. The reason, obviously, I'm happy to do that is it is quite far up in this list. I'm surprised. Well, I was surprised that it was far up in this list until I thought about the fact that a really good percentage of the people recommending the essences are from New Zealand and Australia. And the thing is, for Kiwis and Ockers, I'm assuming it's the same for you guys, buying good quality tequila sucks because you either just literally can't find it or it's really freaking expensive. And it is a spirit that I would love to get into more, but it's not overly accessible here. So it doesn't surprise me that in a place where it's hard to buy good stuff for a decent price, and it's even harder to get your hands on the ingredients that you would need to make it yourself. I mean, it makes sense that people down here are going to use something like this to get the job done, right? So anyway, sorry, long story short, I picked the one that popped up the most that I could actually get, which was the Still Spirits Tequila Silver. It is what it is. And I have to say, I don't know what this is, but it's not tequila. I can kind of understand it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when you ask a 4-year-old to draw a house. You know exactly the picture that they're going to draw. There's going to be a square with a triangle on top and a little rectangle off to the side on the top of the triangle with fluffy clouds coming out of it. You know kind of what I mean, right? It's like that. It's the most basic descriptors of tequila kind of crammed in together. To me, it tastes like just the vodka, which is actually like not a bad vodka at all that I'm using to mix all of these up, with a little bit of kind of vegetaliness and pepperiness sort of splattered on top of it. If you asked me what spirit it was trying to be, I would say tequila. If you asked me if I wanted to do a round of shots with salt and lemon and all of that bollocks, then sure, why not? Like, what does it really matter at that point in time? If you're going to ask me if I want to sit here and sip it, nope. I won't be sipping it. That's my dump bucket, by the way. I don't know, man. It is interesting to me that as we do this, the spirits that I appreciate the most and the spirits that I drink the most and the spirits that I am more likely to buy a bottle that's over like $50 or $60 are the essences that I am enjoying least. Probably because I know the most about them, right? And the ones like, some of the liqueurs and stuff that I don't really drink, I don't mind them. And maybe it's just that I'm too much of a snob when it comes to whiskey and tequila. I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to jump in again real quickly, guys, and say sorry that all of these are basically the same brand. They're all Still Spirits. And that's just because, well, honestly, this video was thrown together pretty quickly. I needed a video for the week. This seemed like a cool premise, so I went ahead and did it. Thank you for the suggestions of people suggesting specific other brands. The Edwards brand was one that people suggested a lot. It's a little bit harder to get here in New Zealand. If there's people that want to see it, if there's people that want to see me deal with that, then that's totally cool. I'm more than happy to track it down or get it direct from Australia or whatever the case may be. I just wanted to admit or cover the fact that, yes, I understand that these are all the same brand. It's just kind of the way it is for this one. Sorry, guys. Cafe Lua. So, Kahlua, but don't sue us, is what I'm assuming this is. And it does not surprise me at all that this is in the top 3. Wait, it is the top 3? Yes, it is the top 3. And the reason I say that is because, well, twofold. One is that coffee is such a... People freaking love coffee, man. They love coffee, and people that love coffee love putting coffee in damn near anything. I used to be one of those people. I can't really drink coffee anymore. So in some ways, having stuff like this that actually really does taste like coffee is quite attractive to me. And the second reason is that there is a huge incentive in the industry to make stuff taste like coffee that shouldn't taste like coffee because of all the people that love coffee, right? As opposed to tequila. Like how many companies out there, how many products out there, how many brands out there, how many factories and processes and ingredients and all that sort of stuff are out there trying to make something taste like tequila that doesn't taste like tequila, compared to the amount of people that are trying to do that for coffee, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, it makes sense to me that making fake coffee flavor is a much more solved problem than a lot of the other things that we've come across on this table. And I would agree with that. It's pretty damn good. It does have that slight, like watery, it's been in the coffee pot too long or sat on the grounds too long, like that slight, almost like wateriness, I guess you'd call it. While I'm talking to you, I'm trying to open this damn bottle and talking and trying to do something else while you're tipsy is not easy. Hold on. All right, the reason I'm opening this up is this, when I first tried it, really, really impressed me. I thought it was really good for a coffee liqueur. So good, actually, that I even agreed to do a sponsorship deal with these guys. There's a difference in sweetness. I can put that aside. That's here or there. You can dial in the sweetness as you like with these sort of things, right? That's one of the cool things about them. Let's focus purely on the coffee flavor. This is a lot more like straight coffee. This has kind of a almost like a chocolatey undertow to it as well, which is actually really nice. But the biggest difference is this tastes like nice espresso coffee. This tastes like good instant coffee. All right, in the silver medal spot, this surprises the hell out of me, but cherry bourbon. And I'm going to carry on the theme of saying that things that I enjoy drinking regularly, I'm not impressed with when it comes to this, and things that I'm not, I am. In this situation, if I think of this like bourbon, I can't think of it like bourbon, is what I'm going to say. But if I think of it as a flavored bourbon, as a flavored whiskey, as a liqueur, it's actually pretty good. The cherry flavor is not entirely one-dimensional. It's not just that like kids' cough syrup kind of cherry. It has sweetness and fruitiness and kind of different esters floating around in there as well, which make it a whole lot more appealing to me. Once again, this isn't my kind of drink, but I don't want multiple bottles of cherry bourbon sitting on my shelf because I'll never drink it. But that one moment when I decide I do, or when I decide, hey man, do you remember when we used to have cherry Coke? We don't get that anymore, but what if we put cherry bourbon into Coke? What would that taste like? You know, for those kind of moments, I can see how an essence could help you out. And maybe next time I record a tasting 10 samples video, I'm going to remember that even just sipping and tasting 10 samples in the space of an hour or so gets you kind of ripped. And maybe I'll record it in reverse order and then edit it so I can give a little bit more attention to the winners. Right now, I'm just mostly feeling merry, so cheers, guys. So, the number one gold place spot for essences recommended by home distillers is spiced rum. And you know it's good because it has a motherfucking pirate on the bottle. Anyway, this one did surprise me in some ways. And then once I knew it was there, it didn't surprise me at all, if that makes sense. It's not something I would have picked thinking ahead, but once I saw it pulling into number one, easily pulling into number one, it kind of clicked for me. But honestly, for this one, this doesn't smell like rum to me at all, which is weird because I pulled another sample of the Jamaican rum I made. This one is quite rummy. It has a small amount of esters in it, and it has some, molasses contributions as well. This one, it smells like vanilla essence and some spices. It tastes pretty much exactly the same as it smells, to be honest, with a little bit more molasses undertone sort of coming in at the end. I don't know, man. Maybe this is just my preference in rum speaking. I like a rum that tastes like a freaking rum, not like an oak-aged vodka with sugar in it. And it's even the oaking flavors in here are not. I don't know, man. It really just tastes like spices and vanilla. Oh, but I haven't put any sugar in it yet, so let's see if that redeems it a little. And actually, I could see a small amount of sugar bringing out the molasses flavors as much as it brings out the spice. But let's give that a nudge. Nose is the same. Once again, like if you wanted to put this into Coke or whatever, it'd be fine. It'd be totally fine. It'd actually be probably really nice with the Coke flavor, to be honest. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, the cinnamon would play nice. Vanilla would be awesome. It'd be good. It'd be really good in Coke. I guess I think less about mixing, I guess I think less about drinking spirits with mixers these days and more about either drinking them neat or drinking them on the rocks or drinking them as a cocktail. But I can totally understand why a bunch of people voted this kind of thing up, because it's unoffensive in every way, shape or form, unless you really like to drink rum neat. And there's not a lot of people around that really do that, I think. Interesting. For my money, I would rather the Jamaican rum or, just, I guess, make my own. And in a lot of ways, rum is a spirit that you can make from scratch with molasses and put a little bit of age on it and have it be a relatively good spirit, a lot easier than something like whiskey, in my mind. But anyway, there you have it, guys. 10 essences as voted by home distillers. I've tasted through them all. I am merry, and I need to get out of here because I need to sober up to edit this video for you guys. So if you have any comments, drop them down below. If you think I screwed up by just buying these ones that was available, please let me know down below. And if there's enough people interested in a follow-up video where I, try different brands or try a completely different flavor that people just didn't vote for and now you think is worth watching, and now you think it's worth me trying it, I'm happy to do that as well. Anyway, have a good one, guys. Do all the YouTubey things, like, subscribe, so on and so forth. And most importantly, I'll catch you next time. Keep on chasing the craft. See ya.